All right. Well, it's working now, so that's good. Yay!
Yay.
So we're live. For everybody that's just tuning in, we are all people that have been involved in the Guild Wars 2 beta. We are part of a group that can be found at alttabme.com. That is our website. Our guild name is Arcanix. And for most of us, we used to play World of Warcraft together at one point or another. And we had our guilds in those games, and we all got kind of bored of it like everybody else, and we were looking for the next best thing, and we've been disappointed up until now, so we wanted to share why we are no longer disappointed and what Guild Wars 2 has to bring to new players, because I think everybody will agree that the number one question we get on our stream is, what makes this different than Sword or Terra, or WoW's better, or, you know, fucking... I don't understand how this works. What are you guys doing? It looks bad. The graphics are shitty, blah, blah, blah. So I figure we can sum up a couple of those things in a video/podcast. So, yeah.
I can finish the stream right here for you. There's rainbow cake in the game. That's it.
There is?
Is there really?
Yeah. You didn't find that?
Oh, yeah,
Lies.
there's rainbow cake.
Tristan
Oh,
and I
man.
went and ate some.
So that's a good point. So one of the cool things about the game is that there is items that you can pick up along your travels that you can use to interact with the world around you. For instance, let's say you're fighting a giant tree, and you start beating on this tree. The fucking tree starts dropping its branches, and you can pick those up and use them as weapons. I mean,
Or seeds that heal you, too. There's a lot of different benefits from it, too. Not just random, hey, it's a stick.
Pirate's peg leg. So it's good.
Somewhat related on the humor note, the thief's steal ability, where you can actually steal an ability and use it against a monster. I have stolen a bird's feathers and thrown it in its face. Always fun.
which is cool, because, I mean, if you think about it, if you're a thief and you're stealing from a bird, there's only a few things you could take, and one of those things are feathers, and if you threw some feathers in someone's face, they would probably go blind.
Yeah, I'm glad I grabbed the feathers.
Aww.
And I was not planning on bringing it up this early, but my pet ability is actually foraging for items, too. I did not want to bring up the pig this early, but apparently, I have to.
Your pig.
Inevitable.
My pig. My
Sword
pig.
above affair.
What's the name of your pig?
Wiggly boop.
Yep, Wiggly
Mhm.
Boop. I'll show you guys
It
the
is
picture
Wiggly Boop.
later. It's beautiful. All right, so let's take a step back. Let's talk about why Guild Wars 2. Why should someone play Guild Wars 2? What's the number one reason if someone were to ask you right now, let's say they're saying, I play World of Warcraft, I play Terra, I don't have time for another fucking, another online game. Why should I play Guild Wars 2?
All right,
It's a
we
bit
need
of
to do
a-
it. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's a bit of a cliche, but probably that it's so hard to come up with just one thing.
It's just different right now. I mean, it's immersive. It's you explore, you do everything. It's too broad. I mean, it's too broad of a question.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, let's tackle it from one step at a time. So, World of Warcraft, we'll go with the generic. You level from 1 to 80, and then you begin doing, some serious content and competitive PvP. You start hitting raid dungeons and stuff like that. What does Guild Wars 2 have that is comparable to the 1 to 80?
Well, they have the 1 to 80.
Except it's not.
WoW's 85 now, but whatever.
It's soon to be 90. But the thing is, it's how you get there now. In WoW, for the longest time, it was kill things, quests. There you go. Now they did add some things with PvP. It's still grindy. Some people on the stream, I'm sure, will say, "Oh, WoW is really easy now." Hardcore WoW, back in the day, it did take some time. In Guild Wars, though, I mean, you can do whatever you want, and it's going to benefit you. You can explore, you can PvP, and it's so immersive where you never feel like you have to be doing it, and you're enjoying every part of it. There's no rush whatsoever.
But how's that
If-
possible? How can you? I mean, what if your friends that you're playing with, they get ahead of you, 20 levels. Like John over here, he likes to fucking, he likes to run 10,000 miles ahead of everybody. So that
Definitely.
sucks. What if I have work and John is 20 levels ahead of me and I want him to play together? Am I screwed, or does he have to make another character and roll with me?
I think I can comment on this because I probably fell behind the most during the beta weekends. And there's 2 points you can come at with there. I have no idea what I just said. But anyway, one was there's always PvP. When you log into like the World v World combat, everyone's automatically boosted up to 80. You might not have all your abilities or anything, but you can jump in and run around and beat on things with your friends as soon as you log into the game. Likewise, also with questing, it's a lot more difficult. Like I was good 10 levels behind people at one point, but I was still tagging along. You can die a lot more, but fortunately, since people can get you back up again, you can, story-wise, keep around with people.
Well, we were also throwing you under the bus a little bit. I mean, we were bringing you up to the higher level content where we really should have been going down to some of the lower level content. That's a great leveling system that you get scaled to the content, not to just your level. You get scaled down to the lower level areas so you can still play with people that are under level. And since there's so much, you can do new things every time.
So basically, the if you're a new player, what they're saying is that if you want to play with your friends can come back and level with you, and they will be down leveled to the level of items. So let's say you're fighting in a level 2 to 3 zone and they're level 20. They'll be de-leveled to 2 to 3, and they'll be fighting just as hard as you are, and content will drop for them. They'll be able to get loot, and they'll be able to enjoy the area with you as if they were leveling with you alongside.
And still leveling. That's
Yeah.
a big thing too.
Well, that's the kicker. Is not only do you get leveled down, but you still get everything you need from me. You get experience, you get karma, which you can go to whichever vendor you want to, depending on what level of the zone you're in, and get gear relevant to you. So, I mean, that's the kicker there. Not only do you go back and you're able to play with your friends, but it matters to you, and you gain your experience and everything. You still get rewarded for going back to the newbie zone, and you might the thing with that is you might discover something that you hadn't seen before.
Hey, turn your cell phones off.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about the game is the exploration. So.
Hold on.
Oh, this is
Wow.
live, guy.
Oh, man.
Boy.
Destroying our stream.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Anyway, that's the great thing. You can go back and you still get rewarded for the experience. And like I said, you go back. The whole thing about the game is exploring, and you might find something you hadn't seen before. I mean, Tristan and I did a lot of exploring the first beta weekend. Found some things that probably never would have found if we hadn't had quest hubs that we had to go to, and we were just running straight to quest hub from quest hub. We went around and explored the world and just saw what was out there. That's the great part about it.
I think that was the most exciting part of Guild Wars 2 for me, especially the first beta weekend, was the idea that for me, as these guys probably know, is I get quickly lost when it comes to quest text.
Oh God, yes.
And
This is you don't read anything.
Well, I'm not a big fan of reading. If I'm in a game, I want to look around and play the game. And what I found really interesting about this game was that I'm a big sound person. These guys will tell you I yell at them all the time for having shitty mics. But I'm very aware of my surroundings via sound. And what this game lets you do is lets you turn up your sound, turn up your music, and you'll get cues. Like, you'll hear an NPC being yelling in the distance, being like, "Come over here, help me, help me." And in any other game, that would probably just be random flavor text. In this game, if you hear someone yelling, "Help me," and it's in the back left corner of your ear, you should turn around, run left, and see what's going on, because likelihood is he's in trouble and you can help him. And that's how the dynamic quest system works. It makes the world feel very alive, so that when you're exploring the world, you feel like you're a part of the world. And like John was saying, we went exploring just randomly. We literally were just running around. At one point, we found a cave, and
Yeah, the little boss in it, little loot
Yeah, it was like a
I
little.
think it was.
It was like a little. Yeah, it was there was a boss at the end of it, but we didn't know. We walked into this cave. We jumped this ravine. I missed it the first time and got impaled on some spike traps, and we were like, "Oh fuck, what the hell?" But it just looked like a pretty cave, and there was some fish and shit, and we were like, "Oh, cool." But then as we explored it more and more, and we did some jump quests, we got to this boss, and he dropped some fucking cool loot, and it was like, "Wow, that was really cool."
It's the only way you can really find the treasure chests in game too. Finding the random treasure chests with some usually pretty good loot, random junk in there too. Those are scattered randomly across the world in some of these minor little places. So, just yeah.
So, what? So they keep saying like you're exploring a living, breathing world. I mean, other than the fact that there are no quest hubs, and that you're running around and kind of interacting. How does it feel when you're actually doing it?
Well, the two different situations. I mean, there's the random events that just occur, the dynamic events that occur and will happen whether you're there or not, and the continuing heart quests, which are probably the closest thing you'll get to a quest system.
Explain
And,
explain that a little more. What is a continuing heart quest?
Well, the heart quests, they're kind of like the quest hubs. They're not really. It's the only way you can put it in current MMO terms. That those are the quests. You go to these events that are plotted around the map, and you go there, and stuff is happening. Bandits could be taking over a village. Wildlife could be destroying crops or something. Just some of the random things that occurred, and you help out, and up to a certain point of helping out, you complete the quest. But you don't have to do one thing. There's usually 3, 4, 5 different things you can do that can help the progress of the heart.
So be a little more specific with that too, because that's one of the number one questions that people get very confused on. They say, "How does questing work?" I don't understand. So we've got a heart quest, which essentially is a zone. It's an area within an area. So you've got your normal map, and then you've got a smaller portion where you see a heart quest, and then once you get there, there's some objectives that you have to do.
Well, it's almost like I want to say sort of like a mini reputation area almost, because you fill up your little heart bar there. But the thing is, it's not really a grind. I don't want to use the word grind, because you get there and it's like there's stuff going on, and then basically the little heart vendor basically tells you, look, there's a bunch of stuff going on. I need a lot of help. You could choose to do a bunch of different things. Just help me out in this area. You could kill bandits. You could put out fires or whatever, for example. You could kill worms in the field or something. You could feed the cows if you want to run around and feed cows or whatever, and they'll love you.
And
It's nice too because it's a little bit more immersive. I mean, you're running into people who have problems, and maybe the bears are rampaging through, and they're not like, if you kill exactly 10 bears, all our problems will be solved. There's a lot of shit going down. Pick something, go with it, help us out.
Yeah. There's a
the
meter.
10 bear quest thing still exist? Is that kind of a thing?
No.
No, not really. There's a meter for it, so you eventually fill it up, and the person who has the heart over their head, the NPC, turns into a karma vendor, which you earn karma through doing different dynamic events, et cetera, and you can purchase stuff. But there's no set I need 10 bear pellets because I'm building something with 10 bear pellets. It's just, I got a bunch of stuff I need you to help me with. Start doing stuff, and as you do it, you just fill up your little heart meter almost like reputation. They're like, well, thanks for helping me out. And,
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
sorry. I enjoyed it because I didn't really care for the kill 10 things or kill a bunch of things and hope you get 5 drops in quests. I liked hey, I need these items from somewhere. I need eggs, but there's, I know, it's like gathering quests. I enjoyed that stuff a bit more than actual killing things because it was something different. It was something you didn't have to go kill a bunch of things. You could be like,
so let's sum this up. You have your heart quest that so you're running across the world. NPC over there to the left is like, shit, fucking bears are attacking, and you're like, oh fuck, bears are attacking, and then you're like, well, what do I have to do? And you're like, oh, there's some honey over there. I guess they're gonna attack the fucking honey, and so you get in front of the honey, and you're like, I got this. And so you defend. What happens if you fail?
Well, the thing with the heart quests, you can't fail the heart quests, but that will continue on as if nothing ever happened for the most part.
Okay.
It's the dynamic events that aren't hearts that you do have to worry about.
So what's
for
the
failing.
difference between? Okay, so now I'm confused. What's the difference between a heart quest and a dynamic event?
The heart quests are there to be completed. It's a general direction. You don't have to do them if you don't want to, but it's a starting point. It's kind of the points on the map where it's like, if you're looking for something to do, you can go do this. The dynamic events will occur randomly in certain parts of the world that if you're going to the heart quest, you ran through a different dynamic event.
Okay, so
And-
all the heart quests are always the same?
Yes, those are static. Those are, like I said before, the closest thing you can get to a quest hub or a linear. That is the most linear thing you can do in this game.
So what? So just to summarize, it's the idea that you've got your heart quests. So everything's dynamic in the idea that a heart quest could be 4 or 5 different objectives to complete. It's not just, oh, the bears are there, shit, let me defend. It could be like, the bears are there, but maybe I should go pick some flowers so that I could put it at the bear mama grave and make them happy so they stop attacking, kind of thing.
In the pansiest way you could have put it, yes. Yes, that is exactly how to put
This
it.
is why I don't, design quests. Anyway, so
But,
you've got
yeah.
so you've got your heart quests that kind of guide you around the world. Okay, and they're dynamic, sort of. So let's talk about what is the dynamic quest.
All right. Well, seeing as how no one else is speaking up, well, let's go back to say the bandit scenario. A group of bandits are pillaging a town, and there's a certain meter that if they destroy so much, oh my God, the event actually failed. You're not used to seeing that in an MMO. If you're doing an escort quest, oh, the escort died, let's go restart it. This time in this game, shit happens. I mean, the town is gone. It'll lead you into a different event because it failed. Now you have to go kill the bandits in their cave and bring back all the supplies to rebuild the camp. I mean, and then after you rebuild the camp, they may pillage again, or it'll continue on the next set of dynamic events. It's fantastic. I mean, how often do you actually fail in an MMO? I mean, it's fantastic. I love it.
And
Okay.
what's more, how often do you fail and then you can still do stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because there's all kinds of branching and everything, which is the great thing. So if you fail and they take said town, then one of the guys from the town might say, well, we got to take it back. We're going to need some help, or we need to go get supplies to take it back. We need weapons, et cetera, et cetera. So if you fail, you still, like you said, you still have stuff to do, and it branches off and maybe in a different direction than it would have if you had defended the town and say taken a fight to the bandits after defending a town, for example.
And also, Bruce mentioned escort quests, and if you fail that, you got to start over. In this case, excuse me. I mean, if it's something really annoying and you're almost about to finish it and you still fail, then you don't have to start from scratch. There's something new to do, or you could wander off and do something else if you wanted.
Cool. So I think that answers the idea of how questing works in Guild Wars 2. Now, as you progress through the game, you've got to wonder, does it start to get repetitive? Do you start to feel like, the game is stagnating? To me, I felt like I felt relieved almost, because I didn't have to look for that guy with the question mark. I didn't have to look for the next zone that would get me from 20 to 30. I just had to keep walking through the world, and I just had to look around and enjoy. And hey, if I got really, really tired without completely sidetracking this, I'd go play some World versus World or PvP type stuff, which we'll get to later. But just saying, in general, I felt like it was a nice way to progress, and it didn't make you want to. A lot of people, I think, play MMOs because they want to get to the end game. They want to get to the raids. They want to get to the big bosses. I ran into at least 3 big bosses on my way to level fucking 15. So I felt very satisfied with that, and I didn't see the need to have to get to 80 in order to enjoy the game. Whereas a lot of the times I'll re-roll a lower level because I feel like my friends were leveling too fast and I wasn't making enough time with them, and so I'll rush through content. Whereas here, everybody seemed to want to kind of look around and see what there was that we were doing and why we were doing it.
Yeah, I would agree. That's definitely the big thing is immersion and just exploration. I mean, how many hours, Tristan, do we spend at the end of the first weekend just wandering around that snow zone? So at least maybe 3 hours,
Yeah.
just wandering around, looking for things, checking stuff out. And that's the great thing about it is it's just so much freedom to me. Instead of, well, we got to go to the next town, got to get these 9 quests or whatever, it's quest giver over here. It's like, where do you want to go? Oh, let's head south. Okay, let's just go check this out. And whatever you run into, you run into. That's the great thing about it, is the exploration and the freedom.
The other thing is that some people won't like that exploration, and there are ways that they will guide you. If you want guidance, just like a typical MMO, there are these people all around, the scouts, that can tell you, hey, you're looking for something to do? Go that way. So if you want direction, you can have direction too.
Yeah,
Speaking
I
of-
like.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, all you.
I was going to say, I like that they do give you both options to pursue it, because I remember, like, in the end times of playing WoW for me, it would just be a point I'd pick up a quest, open up the map, look at the highlighted part, fly in that direction, and I could care less what I saw along the way. But in this case, I'll wander out, and I'll get lost for like an hour or something just looking at pretty bunnies hopping around.
And
But
die.
then, yeah. Yeah, I did that a lot. But then there's times, like you mentioned with the scout, like if you really want to like hunker down and do something specific, it's really not that hard to find that kind of stuff. But they don't force you to do it.
Well, that's good. How about travel? How does travel work in this game? Do you feel like you need one of the questions that I always get a lot are there mounts? And to me, I felt like it was kind of a relief. Don't get me wrong. I like mounts. I think they're cool. They fit the time period. I like the fantasy feel of having a horse with armor or a crazy dragon or something. But at the same time, I always felt like my mount was just there as a faster way to get to what I wanted to do. That was tedious.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
There's a lot of discussion about that on different forums. Why are there no mounts, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the idea is just, again, exploration, enjoying the world. I mean, and when there's no mounts, it's not like it takes such a long time to walk around. I mean, because you just kind of lose yourself in it, and you explore and you come across hearts, dynamic events, et cetera, et cetera. And if you really needed to get somewhere, there is a waypoint system in, towns, outposts along the way, where you can easily just port to different towns, et cetera, when you want to get to a different section of the map, provided you discovered it already. So,
And for a cost.
yes, for a cost, for a coin cost. But there is a fast travel system. It's just, you can't go anywhere with it. There's certain points on the map where you can take yourself to if you've discovered them already.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my big things when I was playing. I always wanted to find the waypoints first. I personally don't like running around. I don't care for. I love exploring. Don't get me wrong, but I hate travel times most of all. And let me tell you this: I had no issues whatsoever with the waypoint system. You find it once, you can always port to it. You can transport from one end of the continent to the other, and for obviously a fee, but it's so well organized. Like there's no dead zone for the teleporting. You can get to just about anywhere as long as you found it. And there's a whole bunch of speed boosts in the game too, temporary speed boosts for weapons and all that other stuff. I always kept something on me, so if I wanted to get somewhere a little bit quicker, I always had that on hand just in case.
Oh, something I want to point out before I forget about that. I really love this about the game. The speed boost that you can give to other players, if you're doing a kind of escort quest sort of thing, you can make the NPCs move faster.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was
Yeah.
brilliant.
That was really cool. So each class has a special power, so to say. For instance, if you're an engineer, you can throw down an elixir that has an area of effect of speed. as one of its things, or if you're
Ranger.
Hunter?
yeah,
Ranger.
Sorry.
Mesmer
With,
has kind of.
if you're in anything.
Yeah.
No, but all classes
Good
have a
idea.
speed boost of some sort, and usually it's an area of effect, and basically you can drop that right on an NPC and it takes off with you, which I agree was one of the nicer features in the game.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I didn't like in other games having to slash walk in order to keep up with NPCs, or then have to like slash super speed in order to like keep up when it bolts at the end and you fail.
Yeah.
That's also okay. So this has to do with the questing as well. Let's say you participate in half a quest. Let's say that you I don't know, you only had time to do half it, or you were midway through and saw something way cooler and you were like, I'm gonna go save them. Fuck these bitches. When that quest ends, you will still get credit for it, depending on how much you participated in it. And it's on a ranking system of bronze, silver, and gold. So if you did really well for that first half, you could still get gold with everybody else that came in and helped. If you did really shitty, I mean, you'll get bronze or silver. But you still get rewarded for participation, which is nice.
Big deal.
It's a nice balance too, because then the people who've been there the whole time also, someone coming in at the last minute isn't getting everything that they did. They get to see rewards for their effort.
Yeah.
And the other nice thing is, say you're halfway through something and then you see something else over there. You go do something else after contributing for half of it. When it's ended, you'll still get rewarded for what you did. You don't have to be there when it ends for all the rewards that you already gained.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nice.
They will find you.
Yeah.
I think me and John were beating on this one area for,
Oh man.
I'd like
Is
to
that
say
the-
the greater part of 2 hours.
The cave quest? Yeah.
There was a broken cave quest, and it's beta still, so there's a couple bugs here and there, and we were beating on these fuckers for a good 2 hours, and we must have killed at least 100 of them, and that's probably way more than anybody else participated in that quest would ever kill. And I think it was when we found that cave. We found this weird cave,
Yeah.
and we were exploring this cave, and all of a sudden, bling! This fucking gold pops up, and we were like, "What's that from? Did we finish something?" And then I read it, and it was the quest that had to do with the little miners that we were killing before, and we had killed so many that it actually gave us gold, which was nice.
Yeah.
So we felt defeated that we couldn't get through to it, but then we got our reward, and we felt a little better about it.
Yeah.
So that was
Definitely.
nice. Let me see here. So we were just talking about mounts, and okay, so new player jumps into this game, and I think for everybody, the first thing that I questioned was, how am I going to learn to play my class? I see that there's 5 skills on the bottom. A couple of them are grayed out in the beginning. How does this work? I can swap weapons. I get more skills if I swap weapons. Wait, skills are attached to weapons. I don't get new skills. So there was a lot of interesting dynamics to the combat and the way that you use your skills that I think has a little bit of a learning curve. But I think that if you looked at it in a way of... I think the thing that is most important about Guild Wars 2 is you cannot go into Guild Wars 2 thinking that it is like the other MMOs.
Yeah.
Sure, there are things that are borrowed from other MMOs, as is any game. Inspiration comes from things that happen, and that's good. You learn from other people's mistakes, or you learn from other people's good things. But I think if you go into Guild Wars 2 thinking this is Guild Wars 1, or this is World of Warcraft, you are going to be poorly disappointed until you are able to let go of that idea. For instance, when I first wanted to play, I wanted to play a Guardian because I thought... actually, I wanted to play an Elementalist first because I thought that the Elementalist had a healing spec. That's the number one thing I hear. What class is the healer? What class is the tank? I don't hear that as much. I think people hate being tanks, so they're like, fuck this shit. But for some reason, people like being healers. Me, I'm one of those people. I like to be the healer. I think it's mostly because I like to be praised, or I want to be in a group all the time. It's just... you know that if you're the healer, you're needed. And so I was like, cool, Elementalist has a healing spec. It's with the water attunement. So I was like, let me make an Elementalist. Yeah. So my heals were doing like 5, 10 heal per second. And I was like, this isn't working. And I realized that every class has their own heal. And there really is no way to make like a healing spec. You can have support in healing so that you can give like a second or two extra life or survivability to your team, but you're not going to keep the team up by just healing. You're actually going to hurt the team if you're not doing damage and helping to remove conditions, add conditions to everything around you.
Well, I actually was in the same boat as you. I mean, as some of these guys know, I've been a healer since day one of MMOs. I mean, I've always been a healer, and first thing I saw was the water spec or water attunement for the Elementalist, and I thought the same thing. It's like, oh my god, I can play a healer. It was just terrible. I mean, you can stack the stat for plus healing as much as you want. You cannot be a dedicated healer in this game. It's nice to have the bonus healing, just for residual help, but there's absolutely no way you can focus on healing in this game. No way.
There's no trinity system at all. It's just there is no training system. Aggro sort of. I mean, there's no set aggro system, and every class can sort of, if you want to, trait into certain things. For instance, I like engineers a little bit more geared towards support, but that's the way I like to play it. You could spec it more for damage, etc., etc. So there's no real set trinity system. You don't say, all right, well, I have the warrior and the guardians. They are tanks. I need a tank because I have to go do this instance, and then I need an elementalist. It's a water elementalist because I need a healer. It's just who wants to go to the instance? Let's go do this, and you take what you got, and you just you figure it out as you go along, basically. You might tweak stuff when you're in there. That's a great thing. You change up, not to get too far ahead, but you can change up utility skills on the fly, and you just adapt, basically. I mean, there's no set trinity system like, well, I'm speccing his tank, and this is what I'm doing. I'm going to go into the instance with everybody else, and we're going to take care of it. And that's just there's not in there, and that's what people need to realize. I think that's a big thing. A lot of people don't seem to understand.
I think the thing that was most appealing about not being able to have the Trinity system was that for the first time in any MMO, I was able to look at the character selection screen and go, that looks really fucking cool, I'm going to play that. Not, oh, my guild needs that, or, oh, I'll get the most groups with that, or I won't be singled out in PvP with that one, or that's the best PvP, I need to play that one. For instance, you've got WoW. What was the number one class that nobody wanted to play with? The Rogue. Because it was, everybody played the Rogue, and everybody PvP'd with the Rogue, and PvE was like, whatever. But everybody wanted the Priest. They were like, oh, but if the Priest was Shadow Spec, they were like, nope, get the fuck out of here. You're just a Rogue with cloth.
Who plays Shadow? No one played Shadow. Shadow was bad.
Remember first time I ever got on a TeamSpeak, right before I made my first character on WoW, I said, what class should I make? And 20 people at once said Priest.
Yep.
Yeah, it's nice because, I mean, even I made the mistake when I first picked my character. Ask these guys. There's multiple forum topics at self-promotional plug alttabme.com. There's a million topics where I'm asking, the guys, what do you think I should play? Like, should I play this kind of class or this class? Because I went in going, I'm going to play a fucking Elementalist because I had the mindset of I'm going to be wanted for groups. People are going to need me. It looks like it's a difficult class to play, so not that many people are going to be good at it. And so I will master that if it rips my eyes out. I hated it. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't my play style. So then I was like, fuck it. I'll try the Guardian because he has some heals too. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And then the beta weekend ended because you don't have much time during a beta weekend to try everything. And what I realized more than anything was that every class, because I had a chance to try out, I think 4 out of the 8 professions. 8 professions or
Yep.
yeah,
8.
4 out of the 8 professions, and I realized that every profession played so differently than what I was used to that I really wanted to just try everything until I found something that was fun for me. And ultimately, I think, because you never know, every beta weekend I seem to change, but
Yeah.
ultimately I think I'm happy with the Mesmer now because it's fun for me. And that's what's really hard to convince people of for some reason in an MMO is that you should play the class that's fun for you. I don't know why this is a hard thing to grasp. I had trouble with it. I have trouble convincing my friends of it. They're like, well, I think I want to play this class. I'm like, well, why? And they're like, well, because that's what I played in other games. And I'm like, oh, well, then there's a 100% chance that's not going to be the class you're going to play because it's not like other games.
Yeah, that's the one thing that surprised me, and I have to say probably one of my favorite things about the game, besides, well, everything else, but is the fact that I think almost everybody here, and I think any new players getting into it, for the most part, you may go in there, and you may, before you get in there, say, I'm definitely playing this class is class for me, this is what I want to play, and before you know it, you get in there, you try a few other things, and you end up with, on the other side of the field, a totally different class, and that was just, I guess, shocking to me, but I liked it. I know I play engineer now, and engineer was on the bottom of my list in interest, and it went from 8 to 1 in the first beta weekend, and I love it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Yeah, it was interesting because I had made a post and I asked everybody to list 1 to 8 what they thought that they would play. And engineer, what, it was 8 on your list? Yeah.
Yeah, it was an 8 on my list. I think Ranger was number 1, and engineer was all the way down there. I just wasn't interested in it. It didn't. At first, I was like, it doesn't. I don't know. It's going to be that great. I think I'll try it. As a forethought or whatever. For some reason, I picked it as the second thing we tried. I guess just to, clear it off my list, and that was it. I was hooked. I was like, forget it. This is what I'm playing. So it's crazy how that works.
By the second beta weekend, everyone who had posted on that forum thread put up a new list, and their top 4 were not the same as their previous top 4. It wasn't even reorganized.
I think mine was pretty much the only one that stayed pretty much the same.
It's because you like your pig.
No, well, I'm not gonna lie. The play style of the Ranger is phenomenal. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I did have a blast with the engineer, just like Johnny over there, but engineer's going to be like my second character. I'm definitely going to be full exploration, do absolutely everything with my Ranger, and engineer will just be my flavor of the side.
He only likes the Ranger because the Ranger has a pig that it's a pet, and the pig can go scavenge for you while you're running around the world, and he likes to scavenge, so it's perfect.
I do. I really do. I love it when my pig just randomly finds an egg in the middle of a cave and it heals me. I'm okay with that. I really am. I'm eating some mole person's fetal egg or whatever, but whatever.
Just don't quest with him because it's
It's awesome. Like, come on.
Every 10 seconds. Did you see my pig? Look at my pig. Like we're looking at our character's breasts because we all play girls. We're like, hey, look at my tits, and he's like, check out my pig.
All right, I'll start saying, check out my hog. Is that better? All right.
That's weirder, I think.
All right. Well, no, hold on. I did figure it out. I do have a better pet buff later on when I actually get my one of my cat pets. So you'll be happy to know my pig will not be my forever pet.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know. Okay, so I know Brian is gonna wanna chime in on this one. This is kind of going towards the scale of the game, and when you first get into the game, to me it feels like it's not like your normal intro where you have pop-ups where it's like, click 1 to run to the left, click 2 to use number 2 skill. Oh, good job, you killed a bunny. Now you can use number 3 skill. It was more like, hey, guess what? The world is being fucking destroyed, and you need to save it now. It was like, what?
The thing...
And then you go through this kind of complex story where you're beating up one boss or another depending on what class you've played, what race you've picked, and then you're released into this world, and that's where I think it gets really interesting. And this is where I think that you'll have something to add, is where you look around, and the cool thing to me is that when you look around, if you can see it, if it's in your view distance, you can get there. There's nothing in the world that is painted, that is a backdrop, that is blocked off by invisible walls. If you see it, there's a reason it's there. And I think Brian did a lot of exploration in that, so I'm going to let you chime in on that.
Yeah, even just the capital cities. Like, I was in the Black Citadel and, like, easily, like, 2 hours just crawling around looking at things. I mean, I just, like, walk along a railing somewhere and be like, oh, what's down there? And just jump off and head over. I mean, and it's the little things, really, that get to you after a while. I mean, there's, like, big, cool stuff to see, but even on a small scale, and like even the NPCs and things, like they'll have conversations and stuff. There's all kinds of things going around. I mean, people watching is almost a mini game. I mean, you can find really entertaining stuff without even having to fight or pick anything up. Just walking around, it's really, really immersive.
I think a lot of our time was spent taking super HD screenshots in the last beta event.
Yep.
For people that don't know what that is, there's an option in the game where you can actually hit a button, you bind this button, and it automatically takes the resolution that your screen is, removes the UI, and blows it up by 8 times, something like that. So let's say you have like a resolution of 1600 by 900. It's going to blow it up to like 8500 by something multiplier of X. math. Me and my math are not doing well here. Anyway, it's huge and it looks amazing, and it's very interesting, and it definitely can take up a lot of your time, especially when you have one of those moments where you turn around and you're like, "Wow, this is just beautiful." Which leads right into the graphics of the game. I know a lot of people look at the game and they go, "Oh, it looks like wow, it's very cartoony. The graphics suck." Or, or they're like, the number one thing I hear is Terra looks 5,000 times better. I guess the only thing I would say to that is, because I'm an asshole, I would just be like, Terra used up all the glossy, jiggly wax for all the breasts in their game, so Guild Wars 2 didn't get any. But on a realistic note, what do you guys think of the graphics, and how do you think the art style is?
Not enough boobs. You're right for that one.
Not enough boobs. Which is interesting because there's a lot of forum threads from the beta of people saying that the armor is not enough, and that like the women characters need to be covered more. For instance, the Mesmer or the Necromancer, they need to be covered more in armor that makes more sense to the time. Like, you wouldn't wear a bikini if someone was throwing an axe at you. Although I would, because I want.
I would.
I
would definitely approve of more bikinis, but I'm just on that end of the spectrum of I don't care as much. I love the jiggle factor. I really do.
You like the jiggly?
I love the jiggly. I really do.
This is
I love the
not helping my
argument. I'm not the graphics guy here, so you guys talk for a few.
Edit out. Done.
Oh.
Okay. No, but but seriously, at this point in time, Tristan, when you're editing this, cut this out. Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead.
The game is definitely beautiful. I think one of the most beautiful games I've played. But that's my personal opinion, and I guess I'm biased. But I would think just because everything's alive, and the one example I would give for probably the prettiest stuff I've seen is underwater combat. Going underwater, the underwater environments are, to me, are really beautiful. I mean, the game is still in beta. There's still optimization. Like, first beta weekend it ran great in high graphic. Ultra settings. Second weekend I couldn't run it for shit. But I mean, when you can put it up and turn it up all the way and just explore things and look at stuff, it is quite a beautiful game. And like I said, especially the underwater environments and the underwater combat, which is awesome. So I think the graphics are beautiful, period. So
I think it's hard to really grasp the scale and the feeling of an MMO from say a live stream or a video. I think because majority of the time when you're playing these games, let's say this is the ground, your camera's always tilted on an angle of that. You're never playing an MMO like this, which would be optimal for someone viewing it. That's how you would shoot a movie, or you would watch a TV show or something like that. It's always looking around. It's never really the Godfather off to the distance looking down, as if you're voyeuring him. But I don't even think that's a word. But fuck it, we're going with it.
Voyeurism.
But the idea is that I think that the game definitely looks a lot more beautiful when you're immersed in it, because especially this game where everything around you, the sounds, the music, the quests are immersive. And so when you add that to the graphic style, which is very stylized and very much to the time period, including the attire and the garb that you're wearing, it feels very beautiful because it's complete.
I would say that I actually did a double take playing the game, because as soon as I started, from the get-go, I recognized good graphics, everything looked nice, but I was kind of in that old MMO zone where I hit the ground running and I got to do this, I got to do that, and then after a minute or two, I just kind of slowed down and started looking around. I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I think the moment where it really struck me how pretty the game was when I caught a view of the sun setting through the trees, and I at first realized that the trees were actually moving in the breeze, which you don't think about, but is a huge deal. That changes a lot.
I think there was a time-lapse video that was done, and the time-lapse went from day to night, and I think a day to night cycle is 40 minutes and 30 minutes, so it's, I think, total 70 minutes. So if you record it, each one of these time-lapse, in the time-lapse, the trees were moving.
Yeah.
You saw them moving, and it was very interesting, because I hadn't even noticed that the trees were moving, to be honest, until I saw that time-lapse.
I'm just doing a quick correction here. It's a 2-hour cycle, an hour 20 for day, 40-minute night. So continue.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I think you just have to experience. The world is alive, period. I don't know how else to say it, really. It's just a huge scope and something it's hard to explain until you, and like Tristan said, it's hard to see on a live stream. The world is alive. Things are moving, trees swaying, grass swaying, et cetera, et cetera. You've got NPCs running around doing their business, talking to other people. Just doing mundane, everyday tasks in the city, things like that. All kinds of stuff. And the night-day cycle, obviously, and in some cases, there's weather, too. It's alive, period. I don't know how to explain it.
So for a game that's very immersive like that, and a game that has a lot of things that you would define as you need to experience it to understand it, how do you market something like that? How do we as players who want our friends to play go, hey, dude, this game is amazing. Oh, now my phone's ringing. Except, okay.
Fail.
How do you say that this game is amazing? You need to try it without them going, yeah, well, I watched some YouTube videos and I'm not really sold.
What I had to do, I could talk till I was blue in the face, and a lot of people would not give it the day of, wouldn't give it any chance whatsoever. The second the beta weekend came around, I actually grabbed a good 10 people and said, you have to try this. You are here. You're going to play it. 8 out of those 10 that week bought it. Just pre-purchase it. They could not get enough of it. It was like crack for them. They just could not get enough of it. It's nothing like you've played before. It really isn't. Sorry.
Which is important. I think the MMO industry in general needs something that is new and does feel different. To me, WoW was a great game, but for me, the ultimate game that I will never forget is Ultima Online. It was a game that was created by the players. And at the time, that was great because you made your own houses, you made your own towns, you made your own events. You were sometimes involved in the community events if they were making something happen, like an invasion of the town. And if you did well enough, the community managers would be like, Sir Tristan is the king of the town or something. I don't know, whatever. But that was good for that time. Jump, 15, 20 years later? Oh, God, I'm old. And you get a very interesting evolution of that where people don't want to jump in a game and have no idea what they're doing. They want to jump in a game, and they want to be able to play it. They want to be able to enjoy it. And I feel as though I stopped playing Ultima Online when WoW came out because all my friends played WoW. And I loved it. I worked for them. I mean, it's like I have a serious respect for that game. But it never filled that void of Ultima Online. And for some reason, this game fills that void because it lets me finally, once again, jump into a game and just enjoy it. I felt like I got very used to games being a chore or a task, and that made sense to me. And when somebody, it's like when you have a really shitty boss and the boss is telling you that you do terrible work, and then you finally fucking get enough balls to quit, but like the entire time you're at the job, you're like, I suck and everything's bad because he told me, and then you give your resume to your next employer, and they go, holy shit, you did a lot of good stuff. Wow. Fuck, you want like twice your pay? You want twice your fucking, you're a very talented person. Here you go. So it's almost as if World of Warcraft to me was the asshole boss, and Guild Wars 2 is the eye-opener saying, it's okay, you're no longer a beaten puppy. You don't have to fucking quest for 6 hours just to get the next good item that will make it so that you're 0.2% better than the other guy. I'm still petting the dog, by the way, in case you were wondering.
It was really beaten.
It was.
Wow.
It needed a lot of love. It was a very upset dog. But I mean, other than the fact that I just talked the shit out of that, anybody have anything to add about that?
Well, I don't know if we're jumping ahead with it, but I think it's interesting that you bring up the all 6 hours to get the next piece of gear that gets you 0.2% better, because the way gear works in this game is completely different.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's
I think
not.
that's a good sequitur. Let's do it.
hmm Well, I like how you don't have like a main stat. I mean, I'm sure someone's going to sit down with a calculator someday and make an argument for how one thing is better than the other. Yeah, I'm looking at you.
That's what I do.
That guy. He's that guy.
Yeah, but I mean, it gives you a lot more control over how you want to play your character. And just, I mean, I don't know how much detail you want to go into on like the specific stats and what they do,
Well,
but yeah,
what?
exactly. But that's the thing, is like you don't have to go online and look up and read for 2 hours. Like, oh, if I want to play a thief, I need to do this, this, and this, or get this gear and that gear. It's okay. This makes me hit harder. That makes me live a little longer. Well, I've been dying pretty fast. I'll live a little longer, and just do it on the fly.
well, that's the thing. It's not a gear-based game, and that's what a lot of people, I think, are confused about. especially-
What?
Wow.
It's not gear-based?
I know, the world just started ending.
What
There's
does that
fire from the
mean?
side. I don't know what's going on. But, yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people are confused about. They're like, where's the in-game rating and stuff like that. It's based on how you look, basically. You choose the gear that you want to wear that makes your character look badass. And it's not based on, really, the stats. Combat is more based on the skills you have, the weapon sets you're swapping between, not to go too much detail, and the traits and utility skills you have. Traits are like your spec, sort of. It's a little bit different from that, but that's what it's based on. It's not, well, I gotta go do Molten Core for 6 hours so I can get Perdition's Blade or whatever on my rogue. And I can't believe I remember that.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
See, that's how bad it scarred you.
That's
Oh.
how it scarred me, yes.
I'm with you on that one. I got that too.
But
so it took me 80 runs for 6 hours a week or whatever. Now you gotta go fucking get that blade.
But I am going to play devil's advocate here a little bit, though, because it's not that gear doesn't matter, because it is a factor. It's just not nearly as big of a factor as it used to be.
It's not the priority.
Right. It's not like, 90% of your stats is coming from gear. It's more like 10 to 15% of your stats is coming from gear. You can easily overcome that difference through a skillful playstyle than, oh my god, that guy has Season 10 Gladiator, amazing, super awesome PvP gear, he's going to destroy me. It's, okay, that guy can't have super amazing stuff better than me. If he beats me, it's because he is a better player, and I need to learn what I did wrong. Not, oh my god, he's overpowered, he's super amazing because of his gear. It's, okay, he whooped me.
I
Good job.
think that's another great draw for me, is the fact that you can sit. I mean, Tristan and I, we did some last week, and we did a lot of dueling and stuff, and just theory crafting and things like that. You can sit down and go, okay, how did he beat me? What do I need to do fighting a Guardian? What do I need to change as an engineer, for example, when I'm fighting a Guardian? It's not, oh, well, he had, like you said, he had tier 14 from Mist of Pandaria or whatever. And it's kicking my ass, and there's nothing I can do about it. I guess I got to go raid for 12 hours this week and get some gear. It's like, okay, what do I change out my utilities and stuff? How am I going to approach a Guardian when I see one in, PvP or whatever? And that, I think, is important and something I really like about this game is you can sit down and try to figure stuff like that out. You're not screwed because you don't have the gear for it or whatever.
Well, I think it's very visual, too. I think the interesting thing that I never wanted to do in any other game was to actually log on to the other characters and play them because, A, in order to play one in PvP, you'd have to level it to max level, and that would take a couple hours, a couple days, weeks, months, whatever. Who wants to do that for every class? I don't. So the fact that I can go through the newbie area and then go right into PvP and try it out to see what are the visual cues that I need to be looking for. Oh, the warrior does rah before he drops like something that fucks me up. Okay, cool. Every time I see this, I'm going to use my counter. Or, you start to learn not over what they are, you're not looking at their character and going, oh, fuck, they have the sparkly dagger from fucking, tier 82, because I really believe that they're at that point now. 14 was, giving a lot of credit. But it's, you're not looking at their weapons. You're not looking at their gear. I mean, you're looking at them and you're going, wow, that's fucking cool. Where did he get that? I want to wear that because it looks awesome. Because you do get upgrades in what you look like. But you're more looking at how the guy is playing. And you're looking at your screen. And you're watching the game instead of watching your buttons, which is really nice.
Yeah, especially with dodging, it's important to learn what's coming at you because you got to time it and you have to know, well, I can take this hit, it's not that bad, but when he does that, I'm really going to want to get out of the way.
I'm amazed it took us an hour just to bring up dodging.
Yeah, it's surprising.
That's
actually.
true, yeah. Because
Well, I wasn't going to be the one to do it.
But you did.
I have yet to figure it out.
Okay, well, you know what? That brings up a good point. So the other thing that I hear a lot is a lot of people talk about Terra, and everybody was very excited for Terra. And to be honest, I'm not trying to spout here, but it's like I really believe that game is bad. And I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and I tried it before I came to that conclusion. Unlike the Secret World, which I just think is shit. I mean,
We're not biased or anything.
no, there's
No, not at
no.
all.
We're all. This is all objective, of
We're
course.
open-minded individuals.
Yeah. Anyway, so other than the jiggly physics, which I swear to God were so hot I just couldn't control myself, in Terra, I feel like everybody was saying, hey, there's this new type of interactive combat where you get to aim. There's no lock on target. And I was like, okay, is that it? Like, in my mind, that's what I thought. I thought, okay, so you just took out locking on your target. That doesn't make the game that much more innovative. What people don't realize, I think, is that Terra came out in Korea. It's a Korean game, right?
Yeah, it's
a
Korean.
year ago or
Grind
something like that. Yeah.
It came out
Look
a
at the
year or
character
two ago.
creation screen.
But it came. Wait, there you go. Yeah. It came out a year or two ago, which means that it's old. It's not. They were in development way before a year ago, and so they were pulling on ideas that were very much in line with what World of Warcraft was. The quest system, the question mark over your head, the gather 20 of these, the gather 50 of those. There's no end game, people are now realizing, and they're starting to leave the game. And the combat system, people are still fighting for it. But to me, the best MMO I ever played, maybe not the best MMO I ever played, but one of the most fun MMOs I ever played when it came to combat was Age of Conan. It had these, while it was a little tedious, if you cast a spell or a skill, you'd have to do key combinations to make it go off. And it took a lot of skill to hit them, but what people started to get really tired of at the end of it was that every time you hit this skill, if you were fighting like some fucking bears in the woods and you're not PvPing, nobody wants to sit there and hit A, B, Q, 1 up, down, left, right. You feel like you're punching in the code for invincibility
Cheat
every
codes.
5. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And your
played
fucking
it.
your hand gets tired, and you're just like, this is kind of lame. But it added a skill level to it, which was cool. What it also did was there was splash damage, and I'd never seen that in an MMO before, which was really cool. Like if you had a fucking two-handed sword or a hammer, and you swung it, you were hitting everything that was in front of you and to the sides. And that made a lot of sense to me. Now, people, I think, automatically assume because there's lock-on, you can't do that anymore. That's 100% incorrect. Guild Wars 2 is very similar to Age of Conan in the sense that, yes, there was still lock-on. You could disconnect from it a little easier in Age of Conan, I think. But even in Guild Wars 2, you can swing without a target. And if you do, and there happens to be something in front of you, guess what? You're going to hit it. And I don't think people realize that because there's still tab targeting. I think it's very overlooked, and I think it's very important for people to understand that you do have freedom of attacking. And instead of just saying, well, we're being innovative by removing something, they're saying, well, we're being innovative by making it so that tabbing onto a target doesn't give you an edge over everybody else. You don't have to have tab fucking keybound if you don't want to. You can play this game how you want. They have things in your UI, so if you're close to someone, it'll target onto them automatically. Or you can turn that off. Or you can... I forget what the other features are. Bruce, do you know what they are by any chance? Or
Of
What?
Sorry.
what are the different like ways that you can target onto people, and you can toggle them in the settings and stuff like that? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, there's I think there's a mouse over system that you can use. There is the line of sight. There's the tab targeting. The mouse over for casting is actually kind of more of the AOE effects, just to make things faster. It's the advanced abilities more or less. But I mean, I'm a guy that needs to have the ability seen on the screen. I have to see the circle, and then I cast it. I don't like that auto casting because I'll frick up my location all the time doing that. But I mean, on my ranger, if I'm doing a longbow shot and I'm running forward into
that's the other thing is that
The
you
fast
can
round
you can fight on the move.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
let's talk
that's-
about innovation. They added it so that if you're shooting a bow, doesn't it make sense that you can move while shooting the bow? Well, you can. If you're casting a spell, why are you fucking planted in the ground? You're using your hands, not your feet. So you can cast and run.
There are still some spells that require standing for casting, like the Elementalist AoE Meteor Shower. I mean, some of the super amazing Mondo spells will require you to stand because guess
the
what?
animation-
It's going to take freaking time and effort to do it.
The animation reflects it too. Like she goes in the air and you see her like calling down from the heavens, kind of thing. But if she's just like, hey, I'm gonna fling this fireball at you, it's like, well, I'm gonna run around while I do it. Boop boop.
Which is great, fantastic too for
that's-
PvP. I love it for the PvP system.
So, I mean, if you want to talk about innovation and what game has innovation with that kind of shit, I would say Guild Wars 2 takes the win on that one.
But again, it did kind of take from everyone else too. They obviously weren't the first people to do all these things. But they give you the option to do it the way you want to. Again, just like with everything else, they're innovative in letting you choose. Not, hey, we're doing it this way. You have to do it this way. It's, hey, you can do what you want. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. I'm just going over our talking points. Oh, since we're on combat, weapon swapping. Let's talk about weapon swapping. So you've got 5 skills on your bar. You can't add to that. You can't change that up. And those are directly linked to your weapon that you're using at the time. Now, I think what people don't realize is that for majority of the classes, the engineer I'll let you talk about in a second, because I think it's different. You don't swap, right? You don't swap weapons?
I don't know. Engineer and Elementalist don't have weapon swap.
All right, so like most classes, you can
6
carry
classes.
2 sets of weapons. So let's say I have in my main hand I have a two-handed sword, and then in my offhand I have a shield and a mace. So I can swap between those, and it ultimately makes it so instead of just 5 skills on my bar, I have 10 skills. What a lot of people, when they first start playing the game, do is they're like, oh, just 5 skills, cool. So they just stick with that, and they're like, shit, all my cooldowns are up. Why am I not doing any damage? It's because literally weapon swapping is integral. You should think of weapon swapping as a skill itself. So you have 6 skills. One of those is weapon swapping, because weapon swapping opens up another 5 skills for you, and it actually helps you to not be sitting around, with your thumb up your ass while your shit is cooling down. That's a weird sentence right there.
That's okay. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
For those just joining us.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. Yeah. Well, that's the thing that a lot of people, I think, don't understand. Some of the newer players, and hopefully we can get this out to them, is you have to adapt. It's not like Warcraft where you sit there and, well, I got this spec, I'm pressing 2 keys and I'm destroying stuff. Combat in this game, to me, is a fluid dance almost. It's like, well, a lot of people are saying, well, I have these 5 weapon skills, why can't I kill him? He's kicking my ass. It's like, well, you have to switch to your other. You have to find out what combos you want to take. If you have, for example, a dagger and a scepter on your necromancer or whatever, maybe you need a staff for longer range, like AoE stuff or whatever. Like, you need to be able to switch and swap as you move and incorporate that with dodging and everything, and you just need to learn to adapt in combat and use all of your weapon skills, because you don't just have 5, you have, like Tristan said, you have 10. You have that extra skill where you can switch it in the middle of combat and get your next set of skills. You just got to learn it needs to be like second nature, like, I don't know, buffing or whatever, like you used to buff in Warcraft or whatever, things like that. Once you start playing, though, that'll come into play. You'll feel more comfortable with it, because I know when we first jumped in, like, dodging and weapon swapping were completely foreign to us, and we had a hard time at the beginning, too. I mean, now it's sort of second nature to us, like, weapon swapping, dodging that guy's attack, et cetera, and it's just something you need to experience and start to learn, but you need to be open-minded to adapt to things and not just be like, well, I stood there and spammed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, why didn't he die? It's like, because he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, weapon swap, kicking your ass, dodging around you, and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's like if your main hand has, mainly, let's say, damage attacks, and your offhand has, or your second weapon combination has knockbacks and stuff like that. You need to swap if someone is about to hit you with a major attack. You need to knock them back. So in order to do that, you need to swap. And you build those specs upon your weapons.
That's what I loved about when I was playing my Ranger. I had one set that was my longbow for all of my awesome, super amazing range stuff. When something was getting close to me and I didn't have any of my knockback abilities ready, I had my off set, which was a sword and a warhorn. And guess what? I'm rolling around the guy. I'm beating him on him. I'm doing this, that, and the other. I'm buffing myself with a warhorn. The second my longbow ability to push him back came back up, I swapped back, blew him away, and then started, shooting arrows at him again, because that's how it works. It's great.
Yeah, I have to say, I absolutely love this system, because one of the things I hated in WoW was having 50+ skills. You got to figure out, you got to put on bars, you got to put in macros, and all this. It makes it a whole lot simpler, but at the same time, has a huge amount of variety to it. I mean, like, you have like the 5 skills on the bar that you're looking at, and that's easy to keep track of, but then, like, it's based, as we said, on your weapons, but also, like, if you have a sword and a dagger as a thief, if you have the sword in your main hand, your abilities are different than if you've got the sword in your offhand and the dagger in your main hand, and you can switch between them and do different things, like Bruce was saying, with switching between ranged and melee combat. I mean, like in WoW, you had the hunter, and they gave him some melee abilities, but really they're always trying to get away from you and stay in range. But with any class, you can do so many different things. Like, it was weird. I was looking at graphs that Tristan made about ranged abilities. Every single class has a lot of good ranged abilities available to it. I mean, and if you're a traditionally ranged class, you could jump in melee and stab people in the face if you really, really want to.
Yeah, it's a relief to be able to pick a class and not be tied down to like. So if you're, yeah. So like if you the thief, you would think it would be like a rogue, but you can pull out a bow and you can shoot the shit out of them, or you pull out some pistols and you pound the shit out of them with pistols from a distance.
And even better, environmental weapons, especially when you have like an elementalist nearby summoning in like thunder hammers on the ground. So you're running around with a thief with 2 daggers, you're stabbing people. But all of a sudden, if you want to, you can pick up a giant 2-handed hammer made out of lightning and smash them in the face.
Yeah.
Always fun.
So, Brian, this is directed directly at you.
Okay.
So you've got all these different weapon skills, and you've got all these different utility skills, and there's no healing class, and there's no healing spec, and you've got all these different skills at your disposal. What do you have to do to take care of your own survivability?
You're directing that question at me because I'm crappy at it, aren't you?
For the people that don't know, he's the guy that dies constantly.
We use them
If
as a
someone knows the answer to this, please tell me. There's a lot. I mean, you can do different things. I've been experimenting with a whole lot of different ways of trying not to die. It doesn't really work. My character runs around naked a lot because of durability loss. But, I mean, you've got the dodge abilities if you get good at timing that. Everyone's got, I mean, your number 6 key is some kind of heal. There's different ways you can do it. Like the thief, one of them is it's a passive heal every time you deal damage, but you can do an active ability that heals you right away. Another one heals you and makes you stealth for a few seconds. And then you have your utilities, and some of them, like the thief, also has like an AoE heal that also stealths a bunch of people. So there's different ways to approach it. And as I mentioned with like the stats before, like I tried out like stacking a bunch of health instead of damage. It didn't really help. But I mean, there's a lot of different ways to approach it, which is why I haven't figured it out yet.
So, but it's nice. It's a different. If it's a change where, let's say I'm playing a guardian, which has a lot of support skills. I'm not keeping the group up, but I am giving the smart player a couple of extra seconds of relief so that they can cast their own heal, or they can cast their own protection, or they can go invisible, or whatever it is that makes it so that they can survive longer and do damage. And it's a nice change, in my opinion, to the it's a little more hectic. I think there's some people that won't like that. You definitely are not all lining up, molten core style, DPS over here, healers over here, and close range DPS over here. And then, you all converge, but you always have to stay in your spot so that you don't die. You're kind of running around like crazy people sometimes, especially in dungeons, and as we learn them. I mean, me and John did one of the first, it was a level 30 dungeon called
level 30 dungeon. Yeah, that was that you'll see that we have it on the live stream somewhere up on the videos, but you're not standing in place, you're running around, you're dodging. I mean, I had to change up some of my heal abilities. Like I said, I play engineer sort of support, and I had to change up some of my utility skills based on how we were doing, because nobody was standing still, and trying to heal certain people when they're not standing still with certain skills just didn't work. So, I mean, you'll see it in the video. There's a lot of moving around. It's very fluid combat, but like Tristan said, it can get very hectic sometimes, which I like. It's fun. It gets crazy, but that's, you're not standing still, and it's not in a dungeon. Like, we didn't approach the boss like, all right, well, we got to separate these guys. Well, Tristan, you stand there, and you just cast like an idiot, and John will stand over here, and he'll just throw stuff over that way, and then that's how we'll do it. You're running everywhere. I mean, when you're done, you're just kind of like, whew, it's done. All right, we beat it. And then it's like, what the hell just happened? Like, that was crazy.
Well,
but
it's cool, too, because the bosses definitely have a... they feel more like players than they do like bosses.
Yeah.
And not in a like, oh, they're kind of weak way, but in a, oh, that spell is a mesmer's blah, blah, blah.
It's similar, yeah.
Run.
It's a lot of things. A lot of the bosses use a lot of spells that may not be the same exact spell that a Mesmer has, but it's very similar. And when you see it, you're sort of like, oh shit, all right, I kind of know what this does. So like dodge or whatever, or move or run or whatever. So you kind of have an idea of what's going on for the most part.
But you have to approach it with an open mind and be able to change your gameplay depending on the situation. There is no static 1-1-1-2, 1-1-3, 1-1-2, 1-1-3. There is no rotation or anything. You're adapting. You're adapting to the world that's adapting to you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Combat is really hectic, I feel. It seems, I mean, I've never been in real combat, so I can't know, but it seems definitely a lot more realistic than having one person standing there and another person beating on them and someone standing, and everyone's like nice and neat, lined up, ready to go for whatever reason. I mean, it's crazy. It goes back and forth, especially in like World v World. I mean, you can't have like a personal cadre of healers and run around invulnerable. I mean, people are like dragging each other out of the fire left and right.
But what's
I
nice
do
is
miss
you
that.
get like a, oh wow. But it's,
No, I
well,
miss that.
there was one point I think where we were playing World v World, which is the player versus player, and I remember I was up real close to the front of the gate. We were beating on the gate, and all of a sudden I realized I was going to die. And they rushed out of the gates, and they were chasing. And we had our guys, so it was like a standoff. So you had their guys, our guys, and here's me like an idiot. And so I'm like, oh, fuck. And so I'm like, well, I know if I can at least make it back to here, my guys will be able to pick me up, even if I die. And so I'm running. I'm like, ah! You know, I'm popping everything I have as like a defense. I'm popping clones. Fucking people are shooting. And I'm like, oh, God. The minute I get here, I fall. And I'm dead. And any other MMO, that's it. That's it. You're done. Unless someone reses you, you're done. Because of the game mechanic where you actually get to fight for your survival, I was able to sit there for about 2 seconds before 4 of my guys surrounded me, because you get this like camaraderie when you see people that are downed. It's called being in the down state, where you get this second wind where you can actually, if you kill someone, you can get back up, or you have a self-heal, and you can get back up if nobody pays attention to you. And so I'm sitting there like, and these guys just fucking swarm me that are on my team because I made it to that, like, you know, this precipice of AoE, 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 and they all got me up, and it was like, cool, I made it, and you go back and fight. So it keeps the battle going, and if you're not smart about the way that you do battle, you're going to end up at a stalemate. You have to make sure to finish people off.
The other thing is, just throw this out there, anyone can res anyone at any time. And that is an amazing mechanic. It really is. There is no, you know, oh, is there a druid around that can battle res me? Oh, no, I guess not. I guess I got to release my spirit and run back. No. Anyone can res anyone at any time.
And
oh, go ahead.
The great thing about that is it seems to, I mean, I know we seem to be in a generation of everyone playing on their own, Call of Duty, whatever stuff, but it seems to promote a lot of camaraderie. Like Tristan said, if people can get to you, that's what I've seen in World v World. If people can get to you and they make an effort to get to you, and you make an effort to get to them before you die or whatever, they try to get you up for the most part, because I don't know, there's a big team feeling and team effort, and you won't get ignored for the most part. I mean, there's jerks out there or whatever, but for the most part, somebody see me too. I mean, I got used to it. I see that down icon, and it's like, all right, I gotta go help this guy out. He's in our lines.
Yeah.
I can get him up into the fight. So,
and I'm normally the guy that wants the PvP server. I want to fucking kill everybody. I'm like, fuck this shit. You're trying to quest? I want to take you out, man. I want to make your life miserable. I want to make you log out of the game. I'm going to sit here until you fucking log out. And on this game, I'm like, I'm going to res you until you keep playing. It's like, what the fuck? I don't even recognize myself, but it's kind of cool. You kind of feel like a better person. You're not logging off, you know, going and yelling at your cats or your fucking mom and being like, hey, yeah, bitch, make me dinner until you log the fuck out.
Yeah, speaking as someone who dies frequently while questing, it is pretty awesome, because, I mean, you do get a little bit of experience when you res people. So, like, some random person goes down in the middle of nowhere on a quest, and you see, like, 8 strangers running from, like, 50 yards away, all racing to try and get there to be the one to help res.
Well,
So,
if everyone helps res, they all get the experience.
they all get
yeah,
XP.
true, but
And
they got to
it
get
speeds
before
up the,
everyone else finished.
It speeds up the res, too, the more
Speeds up
people
the
that are
res.
helping.
Right.
That's probably one of my favorite features in the game, actually, especially when you're in a dungeon. Oh man, it is relieving when you're in a dungeon and you do something stupid. You're just like, fucking, I sat in this stupid fire, son of a bitch.
Like traps.
You just feel like an idiot, and you're like, and you're not demoted. Well, I mean, I guess you should demote players for being idiots, but at the same time, you're dead. But if your buddy can get you up, he can get you up, and you get a second chance to not be an idiot. If you do it again, well, you still get another chance. But still, it's nice to not have to be dead all the time and ruining the game for the people that are not idiots.
Well,
And
that's another thing about this game. This game will punish you
Yeah.
if you are continually terrible. You do have to learn. You do have to adapt, or this game will crush you. I am going to throw that out there. Yeah.
Just raise,
Yeah,
your,
yeah.
you just raise your hand.
Yeah, he was just tied the whole time. Well, yeah, that's the important thing. That's what I see a lot of on the forums. I spend a lot of time reading the different forums. Is people just don't understand. You need to get in there and you need to have an open mind, and you need to adapt. You need to get in there and start learning different things. People need to get out of the, I don't know, Warcraft, Star Wars, whatever. I'm going to stand here and spam some skills. You need to really learn what you're doing wrong, et cetera, and it all kinds of ties everything together with the, it's not, it's skill-based, not, gear-based, et cetera. You need to just get in there and say, all right, I died. It's not, I died, the game's fucking broken. It's, I died, I did something stupid, I need to figure it out. That's basically the way it goes in there. That's what people need to, I think, understand when they play the game.
I think if I could give one piece of advice to people that are going to play this game, that one piece of advice would be, go into it with an open mind and wanting to explore the world that's in front of you. Don't judge it based on, is it going to be better than Terra? Is it going to be better than, my mom's meatballs? Is it going to be, fuck this shit. It's going to, I don't know what, I'm Italian. Fuck you. That's the only thing it popped into my head. Hey! But you know what I'm saying? Like, go into the game with an open mind and really try to. It's so hard because even I fucked up when I went into the game. I didn't know how to go into the game and just look around and enjoy. I didn't know that if I had my headset on, I could hear an NPC yelling for help. I didn't know that weapon swapping was part of my utility. There's a lot of things in the game that hopefully they will, when you're a new player, things pop up, and hopefully that stuff will be more when the game goes live. As of right now, it's not that obvious.
That's what a lot of people were complaining about too, is lack of tutorial. And there has to be a balance. I mean, I like the idea of a challenge, and I like the idea that the game's challenging, especially like dungeons and stuff. But I agree with them. There needs, at least at the beginning, when you're doing that little intro kind of thing, there needs to be a little bit more of like, hey, idiot, this is the button, this weapon swap. You need to use this a lot, or something like that. And there needs to be a little bit more of telegraphing it, sort of.
Yeah, like for instance, like they try to give you an idea of what the down mechanic is in the beginning, basically by killing you. I read a lot of people, unfortunately, I read a lot of people that wrote, I tried to fight this boss in the beginning and it just fucking killed me, and I laid there dead for the rest of the game, because you can lay there dead. And I think that they should explain that a little better instead of just being like, you're dead and now you need to fight to survive.
Well, I like that subtlety and sort of like, well, you can go try this, but you're probably going to die, and you need to figure it out yourself. We're not going to tell you, like, all right, this is what you did wrong. But in the beginning, I think it's important, especially if we're bringing in new players, for them to just have a little bit of a hand-holding right at the beginning in the intro and everything. After that, it's like, well, fuck you, you're on your own. So,
So I mean, go ahead.
Sorry, I actually approach this game very differently than a lot of people would. I actually spent easily, well, yeah, that too. But I probably spent a good, easily, 100, 150 hours reading and researching. I know this is not for everybody. That's not how generally the game population works.
You lost me at read.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't read books, but I literally read probably every page of the Guild Wars 2 Wikipedia. I knew how this game worked come the first beta release. Now I have I'd like to think I have a better concept and understanding of how the game works, but it's still changing. It still threw me for a loop. I still had to adapt. I didn't know everything, but I'd like to think I went into it with a better headset than some guys.
You did. It's
Thank
true.
you.
He actually wrote out for our guild, and if you'd like to join an active guild that actually kind of knows what they're doing, self-plug again, alttabme.com is where we base out of, and Bruce has been nice enough to write down a. What did you write down, Bruce? Because I really don't know what it's called, to be honest.
I've done a few guides so far, and I have a few more on the way. The crafting systems I've touched up upon, the whole gathering and gear systems, crafting, the way our guild influence will be going on about, which I will not be sharing with any other guild because it's by far the best spec ever. I have other tutorials going on as well, but we have a few guys here that really are, let's get this going. We are researching, we are reading, we are learning everything so we can help people who need the help. I'm not going to hold your hand every step of the way, but if well, if you're cute, maybe,
If you're a pig.
But we have some guys here that we know everything that we can possibly know up to this point. And we'll continue to read and learn every single build that comes out because that's what we do. That's just our thing.
Nothing else to do.
Well, yeah, for the most part, But that's just the way I approach games. I have to know everything, or else I will feel less awesome than other people.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, do you guys want to take some questions from the people in the stream?
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions right now, we will open it up to questions. Just ask it once so that it doesn't spam, and we'll be happy to.
Brian can't answer anything because all he did was die all the time. So if anyone wants to know about death, just ask Brian.
Oh yeah,
he is an expert at death.
Brian does die a lot.
I can comment though that even dying a lot, it doesn't really get old. I mean, I don't have a defeatist attitude about it. Maybe I should, but I always get back up. I do the naked walk of shame back to the gear repairer, and I keep going.
Another advantage to playing a female character, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I went with the giant cat man.
Oh, I did too.
I don't know what that says about me, but
no, I did too. It's not quite as pretty, but
wait, I thought you were. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're not. You're not a
giant
chick.
cat.
I thought you were a chick.
No, I went with the char with my ranger. I'm debating on going somewhere else with it, but I think I might stick with the male char for my main.
yeah, I like the idea of a very not subtle, stealthy character.
the Tauren rogue.
Tauren rogue.
All right, so so one of the questions: are you able to see your weapon swapped skills at the time, all the time?
Yeah, you can. Well, you can't see them on your bar, but if you go into your hero page, which is basically your character page, has all kinds of tabs for different things, PvP, achievements, and all kinds of other stuff. You can pull up and see the weapon skills for every type of weapon that your class can use, whether you have unlocked them or not, whether you've used the weapon enough to use all of them or not. So you can kind of look at that when you first get. A lot of us, that's what we did. I believe in the first beta weekend. At the beginning, first thing we did after we did the intro was let's go find a shitty weapon vendor and grab all the weapons we can use just to unlock skills and see how they work, etc., etc. But you can see all that on your hero page and every skill, and you can mouse over it and see the tooltip and everything. So it'll explain all that there, and then you can go from there and figure out what you want to test and use or whatever in the game.
Sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think that question was geared more towards cooldowns.
Right.
Well, okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah, the cooldowns. The nice thing about the weapon system, 1 through 4 will have really small cooldowns. I think the maximum for the 4 is 10 seconds, and your 5th ability may have a 40-second cooldown. You don't need to be staring at your cooldowns to know when something is up. Your playstyle can be spam everything as soon as you can, and you probably won't be as effective as someone who times them properly. Or you can be super sporadic about it, and they'll always be available, and again, you won't be as good. But 10 seconds, it's not that much time. You'll be able to kind of keep a trigger in your head of when something you'll naturally get that grasp. That 40-second, that's when you may want to be weapon swapping if you need that ability or the 5th ability on the other set just to balance things out. That's the only major thing that you need to really be an eye on cooldown for weapon swapping.
And that sort of falls into the fluid combat, you sort of get used to that as you start. Again, you need to play. Like you got to sit down and play, and as you start to play, you kind of fall into that, and you kind of know when your cooldowns are up and how to move through it, and when the weapons swap, et cetera, et cetera. So,
how is class balance?
Oh, geez. Let's for beta. We don't talk about class balance in beta. It's just not. You can't.
All right.
It's a constantly changing thing.
Let me say this one thing. I'm going to say one thing about class balance. I've probably put a more time into each separate class than anybody else here, because I just can't. I couldn't make up my mind. And from what I gathered. And this was, when I worked at Blizzard, the number one thing that you had to think about when you made a class was, does that class feel overpowered? And if not, why not? In everybody's hands, your class should feel like it's overpowered. You should come into the game and you should feel like you have the most powerful class in the game and you chose the best class there is. From my experience, every class that I played, other than the balance issues or a bug here or there, they felt overpowered, and it felt like you were unbeatable. And the cool thing about that is that you've got it has a good and a bad. The bad is that you've got these videos on YouTube, which we posted a bunch of them, where like you see one class beating another, and right as they're dying, they're like, "OP as shit," and it's like, well. You think it's OP as shit, but why don't you try it, and then I'll play the other class, and if I beat you, is it really OP as shit? If you don't know, what's cool is that if you play each, I'm like rambling, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the idea is that if you play each class, you learn that they're not OP as shit, and that you just need to kind of learn how each class works in order to feel overpowered and to really execute your moves properly and to get the right feel. Like, I think me and Wholesale was it me and Wholesale or me and someone were playing Guardians and we were beating on this warrior and the warrior was like, no, I'm going to roll a Guardian. And then Wholesale switched to a warrior and all of a sudden fucking Wholesale's like, damn, the warrior's fucking overpowered, man. And so it was just interesting to see that, that contradiction and the juxtaposition of those two classes against each other when in all reality, I think they were very equally balanced.
All right, then I apologize for my previous statement. When I hear someone asking about OP and balancing, I just assume they're like, what class should I play because I want to be super awesome? And that's where I kind of side tangent myself.
No, that's fine.
But, yeah.
Brian, are you talking?
Sorry, I'd muted it. Dogs. I think another interesting point that was made by one of those videos you put up, it was a Mesmer fighting a warrior, and the warrior just got destroyed, but he was just standing there beating on the Mesmer. And I think that a lot of the people now who are saying this class is overpowered or that class is overpowered, they're still playing it like an old MMO, and they're standing in the fire. They're not
moving. They're not using
the new combat system.
You can shoot a bow and you can run. You can cast the thing and then run through it. You can cast something, run through it, and it'll take conditions off of you. It'll make you more powerful to run through what you just cast.
Now, does anyone know of any other MMO that gives you a frequently used ability that gives you invulnerability, such as the dodge? Is there any other MMO that has that capability?
Not that I know off the top of my head, no. Not really.
So, being able to not take any damage for no matter how small amount of time, I think it's a second and a half is the full dodge roll time.
Yeah.
For PvP, that alone is OP as shit.
Momentous. It's huge.
It's amazing. I mean, that's how PvP is going to be based upon. That's how I geared my PvPing based upon.
Well, what's interesting is you've got you've got a super what is the number 5 ability? I mean number 10 ability. Your
elite.
You have an
your
elite skill, and it's on a huge cooldown, and it can do a significant, turning of the tides if you use it properly. But let's say it casts for the Mesmer. I know that if you cast it on someone, you can turn them into a bird, and they have to run around like a bird for 5 minutes. If they dodge at the same exact time that you hit cast, You just used your fucking cooldown, and they didn't get it.
It's amazing. I mean, that's how you win in this game. It's being able to control your dodge and control the other person's dodge and working around that mechanic. It's the number one mechanic in PvP, and people do not realize that.
And dodge is the same across the board. It's not like
Yes.
it's linked to any class abilities. So
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. People just they need to come in here and just forget everything. I know it's hard. They need to come in here and forget everything they learned in WoW, Star Wars, whatever else, and you need to just start clean and have sort of an open mind and be willing to learn new things and new mechanics.
But and not to the point where it's overwhelming. To the point
No.
where it's exciting.
No.
It's it's a welcome change, if you ask me.
It's a very nice learning curve when you actually go into this game and try to learn. It's very smooth. I don't want to say linear because that's not what this game is about by any means. But it does ease you into it to an extent if you take the time to actually learn what you're supposed to do and not just plow through it like you do anything else.
That's the thing. That's what a lot of people unfortunately are doing, and that's where you get a lot of that negative feedback about certain things. Is they just plow through it and they don't take the time to say, well, this is when do I dodge, how do I dodge, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And they don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. So they need to.
So do you know what the endgame in Guild Wars 2 is? Is it like Guild Wars 1, where you do the endgame events more for appearance or more for stats and whatnot? That was a weird...
Oh, jeez.
that was a few questions. Why don't we just go with... what is the endgame for Guild Wars 2?
The game is the end game.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's very few things.
That was, you couldn't have said that better, by the way. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's just perfect.
Yeah.
You could have left it at that.
There are some things.
I'm going to write that down as a quote.
The game is the end game.
Yeah.
The only thing that you're restricted by level is what zone you can play in, and that's really it. Specific zones in PvE. There is, higher level zones and stuff, but
going up and not going down. I mean, you can always sidekick.
Right. Yeah, you can always go back to the old content too, and it'll still progress you just as much. But there, you have the 5 starter zones for 1 through 15 or something like that, roughly,
Yeah.
and then there's 5 more zones from 15 to 25. So now you don't just have 5 new zones; you have the full 10 zones that you can actually play for PvE, and then it just progresses and just gets huge, and you can play. I think at 80 you'll have 100 different zones that you can actually go all the way through and play. And guess what? You're still getting gear for your level. You're still enjoying the game. You can play with any people that you want to play at the lower levels, and you can do whatever. The thing is, at 80, you just don't have any restrictions anymore. That's really the cool thing.
I think that's one of the best explanations I've heard in a while. Is that you're playing the game as if you started at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're playing a single player. It's like you're playing Skyrim or something. You're enjoying your game right from the start.
Right.
Yep.
And something I think is important that we didn't touch on earlier about going back to places you've already been. Once you've done a quest, you can do it again. It's not like you're going back and doing all the stuff you missed. If there was something you did that you had a blast doing, you could do just that for the rest of the game if that's really what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's always fun. We were always trying to look out for. Hey, is that boss available right now? Is that cool boss able to do? Can we go do that again?
Yeah.
It's you can't do that in any other game. And once it's done, it's done. In this game, you can do it. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Played all beta weekend. I felt like spending gold or karma points on gear was pointless till you got to the catacombs where you needed better gear. The dropped gear seemed enough till level 30. Did you feel the same, or did you experience something different?
I never had an issue with my gear. I felt that the gear drops I had, obviously a little bit of luck goes into play with it with any random number generator, but I never felt limited by my gear if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, and there was many ways we got it. I mean, I don't know if this person, played alone or whatever, but we were trading gear back and forth. The drops were significant, and even if you didn't get something that dropped, Tristan would be like, "Oh."
I think what they're saying is that they felt like there was no reason to buy karma or gold vendor items.
Oh, I wouldn't personally. I use my karma for consumables like salvage kits and stuff of that sort,
Yeah.
and I used gold for siege weapons in World v World. I didn't spend anything at all ever on gear.
See, I was different in the fact that I bought a lot of the PvP World v World stuff with Karma because I wanted it to look cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason I didn't buy it because I was like, like to be honest, when I was a Guardian, I kept the fucking shitty shoulder pads on because they looked cooler for 30 levels.
Yeah.
And it didn't really affect my play.
And I guess this is when we should bring in the whole transmutation thing too. You can have, if you want to look cool, you can use your cool-looking gear and transmute it into another piece of gear you have with stats, combine them, you get the stats of one item and the looks of another, and you can always look as cool or however awesome you want to look. Yeah.
Yes, you never have to give up looks. That's the thing. Gear is more for looks. You never have to give up looks for stats, basically, is what it is. So.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah. For you dress-up people.
This is probably an easy question. Will this podcast be a weekly thing or a monthly thing? We're still kind of figuring that out right now. I think we're gonna try to go for weekly if these guys can make it.
Okay.
And we will probably and everything that you see here will be reposted in a video format that you can watch over and over again on YouTube at alttabme.com. That is ALTTABME.com. So it's like alt-tab-me. Anywho, we'll be doing this as a weekly thing. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot more to talk about, which covers your second part is what are you going to do for the 4 hours on Wednesday with the beta event. So what are you guys going to be doing? John, you're like disappearing, by the way. Where are you? I can't see you anymore.
I think it's about to rain again.
Like, do you not own a light bulb?
I don't have a light bulb at all.
Where the fuck are you?
Let's get a donation for this guy to buy a lamp.
I need a light bulb. Somebody help me.
I gotta say though, John and I are in the same town, and it is getting creepy dark out.
It's dark as shit, and it looks like I'm in
me.
like a fucking sunny California right now.
I can go turn on a light if it bothers you that much.
Oh no, it's okay. It's just a little creepy. Like people tuning in that don't know this is a Guild Wars 2 cast gonna be like,
I'm gonna stab you.
Is this like a 4-way cyber? What's going on here?
John looks like an undercover FBI agent talking to the documentary.
Or it's that chat roulette shit where like he's gonna just be like and it's just gonna be penis and it's not gonna be good.
I'm glad none of us have done that.
I'm glad no one's done that too. Fuck. Oh my god.
Boy. Good times.
Yeah.
They're gonna be weekly.
Yeah, I think weekly is where we're going.
We'll update everyone on how often I'm dying.
Oh
yes,
my god.
that's a good idea.
See if that.
Let's go back to the that point at hand, the 4-hour beta or stress test. It's not really a beta; it's a stress test.
Yeah.
I
more
sadly
of a stress
not be
test
playing.
on us because we don't have enough time to play.
Yeah, I have a day job, and the time frame I have probably about a half an hour of last-minute access I'll be popping on for just to hopefully not get the error codes I had last time. So that's going to be my only reason for logging on, just to...
Your error codes.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. First beta weekend, flawless. I had no issues whatsoever. I actually, very few disconnects compared to other people. This time around, I don't know if it was a hardware issue on my part, if something didn't connect. I got an error code every time I tried to log on a certain character. This time around, I'm just going to be like, okay, did they fix it? Is it going to be me? Is it them? And that's going to be my deciding factor.
Well, what's interesting is that this is the first beta I've played that's an actual beta and not a promotional tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
There's actually problems, and they're actually fixing, and there actually is a lot of work left to be done.
And they're taking our actual views and using it to help their game, which is amazing. It really is. They're not like, oh my god, we're done. We just want you to test it or whatever. They're like, okay, people actually really want this. Let's try to implement it. And they did from beta weekend 1 to 2. They added a lot of chat features. They added a lot of, actually I forget a lot of the stuff they did, but they added simple things like sell all junk item in your inventory. Like, you don't have to scroll through 50 items of gray. It's click, gone, amazing. Just like a WoW app.
And if they're watching right now, please add more butterflies to the Mesmer.
You and your butterflies.
I love them. What can I do?
Oh, goodness.
So, Brian, what are you going to be doing?
I think my contribution to the stress test will be to see how many times I could die over 4 hours and see if it crashes the game. I don't know.
The tally?
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, I'm probably one of those few people that I came in and I started off with the thief. I mean, historically, I always play healers and things. I was like, no, this time I'm going to go the opposite end of the spectrum. And I've actually stuck with the thief, although there's a lot of... I mean, I've tried like the Mesmer, the Warrior. It's all fun. So I think, I mean, torn between keeping my thief going and trying out all the other things. I mean, one of the things I really like about it is that we were mentioning with the PvP, when you jump into it, I mean, you're boosted to level 80, so you can do like the starting area, get a couple skills down, and then jump right in and see what your character might be like at max level, and know right away whether it's going to be worth it or not.
Yeah, that's actually a big thing. The whole seeing level 80 content or seeing level 80 abilities 20 minutes into the game, so you're not playing for 3 weeks to level to 80 just to try it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
John, definitely. Probably going to be doing a lot of PvP and roll your world with you, of course.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If I have time, just trying out the Necromancer a little more, because as much as I love the Engineer, I am still confused about main class right now. Still.
I would have liked to try the Necromancer more, but 4 hours I don't feel like I could get.
Yeah, I know. I already have one, though, so I figure I'll jump on that a little bit more. And
Who also made a Necromancer that was just difficult to look at?
Oh, I can't.
Yeah. You made a horrible Necromancer.
It was bad. It looked
made
like a
my
clown.
eyes bleed.
Well, I can't stand the pets. I just don't like. I don't like. They're creepy. I like butterflies instead of ugly creatures. Go fuck yourself. I will be staring at my screen and looking at my characters and playing dress up as much as possible when not worlding.
Yeah, Necromancer is kind of like someone turned a Disney movie inside out.
yeah. A lot of green and black and just dark and gory.
Dreary.
Yeah,
That's the point, though, I guess.
don't like it. Yeah.
Oh, I just meant like woodland critters literally turned inside out. But that fits too.
Yeah, that's true too.
I think we'll take. What do you think? We'll take like 3 more questions and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah,
Sure.
sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, P Fizzle's question here is, what do you think of the in-game pets?
I'm just gonna take the lead on this one, seeing as how
Big.
And I think he's also talking about cosmetic pets as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The collection pet system is a lot of fun. I actually end up spending most of my free gems on getting the pet collections. Just like anything else that you'd have, they put a lot more detail into it than say Blizzard did with their pets. It's like a generic WoW model, and then all of a sudden you get this mini pet in Guild Wars 2, and it's interactive, it's doing things, it's every pet has cool things it does, and it just looks cool, and they always follow you, and it's just a upgrade to the traditional model of mini pets.
I think the only one I want is the pink flamingo.
Yeah.
Because I was always jealous of all the hunters that could get pink flamingos, and now
Yeah.
I don't have to be a hunter to have a pink flamingo.
Right.
Yeah.
But just to segue back to the ranger pets, I'm assuming that's what you're really asking, because I want to talk about it. There's a bunch of different pets, and pretty much they all have different stats and all this, that, and the other. That's kind of the closest thing you can get to a tanky style thing, is that you'll have like a DPS pet, a magic pet, or a whatever. But every single style of pet, every subclass of pet, each has their own distinct ability, which you can use, like my pig forage. I'm really looking forward to having a cat pet that will give a might buff, just to always have a group might buff active just as a separate cooldown, just so we have that extra 10-15% damage as much as possible, just to help. It's one of those support things that you always want to have on hand. So
I've got a question directly, fucking aimed at you, man. Did anybody try crafting?
Oh, yeah.
And what are the benefits of taking up a crafting profession?
So
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. I could talk about this for days. Um,
I'm gonna
Okay.
get a sandwich.
All right, we're all gonna go do something, and you go ahead and get answered. All right, so try to sum it up in like
I'll give the down and dirty
2
one.
hours or less.
No, I'll give the down and dirty. There's 8 crafts. There's 3 armors for each subclass: heavy, medium, light. 3 weapons: melee, ranged, and spell. And then there's jewel crafting, and then there's cooking. Typically, you also have all the crafting, the gathering, which is ore, wood, cloth, leather. You can salvage all your gear so you can get those raw materials. You use raw materials to make the building materials. You use the building materials to make the weapons. You also have the weapons that need upgrade components, which you use the side craft items that drop off of monsters, and you can also get through salvaging. You have all the weapons, you have all the armor, jewel crafting for all the utilities, for the ears and all that other crap. But cooking is amazing. ArenaNet downright said, this is the one you want. This is the one that you will have to invest time, money, effort, and it will reward you. It's the only way to get temporary buffs outside of class abilities. It's the only way to get that extra edge. And I'm so ecstatic for it because I'm going out there with my sickle. I'm picking onions and blueberries just so I can make this freaking little cookie that will give me a 2% whatever attack buff. Because yes, I'm a metagamer. I love this shit, and it's going back to the old school WoW grinding crafting, which I loved and everyone else hated. And you know what? I'm gonna benefit from it because I'm the fucking man, and it will make me a lot of money. And feel one
Oh my
minute.
god,
That was a summary.
that was good. Whew.
Yeah.
Feel
I
like
will
just got
jump
out of
in here.
chemistry class.
And there's our master craftsman of the guild, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know everything. I really do. I'm the man.
Yep. I gotta say, I haven't done anywhere near as much crafting, but a few things I did like that I want to point out is when you're making things, the cast bar for it gets exponentially faster.
Yeah.
So if you have to make like 80 of one thing, by the end of it, you're making like 20 a second.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
You don't have a 20-minute time bar of, wow, I can really go make a meal, eat it, take a shower, come back, and I'm just barely finishing. Nothing will take you more than 10 seconds to craft everything you have in a bulk.
Well, it's
Yeah.
also very convenient too because if you're a crafter, you benefit from being a crafter because unlike everybody else who's selling everything, to sell stuff you have to go back to town. If you're salvaging items, basically you're clicking on a salvage kit, clicking the shitty item in your bag, it turns it into a resource. You can right-click that resource and it, boom, sends it right to your bank. So now all of a sudden your bag is freed up to put all the good epic goodies in there.
Oh yeah, there's few items I will never be found without when I'm out in the world. Tools for the 3 tools for
Condoms.
gathering. Yes, 3 condoms because I actually have 3 reloads. The 3 gathering tools: the pickaxe, the wood axe, and the sickle for ore, wood, and food. And multiple salvaging kits for all my crap gear. And there's items that drop specifically to salvage. It's literally a salvageable item. And you will never see me out in the world without these tools, and if you ever do, you can kick me in the nuts because I can guarantee you it's not going to happen. You know.
All right.
And I highly recommend everyone to have it too. And if you don't, I am going to kick you in the nuts because nothing pisses me off more than seeing a resource node go unpicked.
Oh, which is a good point. Anyone can do all of the gathering, which I really like, and also the gatherable materials are there for you.
Yes.
Like if you see a little tree and you want to cut it down and someone else gets there first, the tree will still be there when you get there because they cut down their own tree and yours is still there.
Right.
Yep.
So
And
it's not crazy.
Well, which is fun because you can go out in parties and you can go gathering together.
yeah, you can. And you also get experience based on both the level of the item and your level. So you get, say you're level 70 and you're a level 10 zone picking, you get experience. You wouldn't get as much as, say, if you picked a level 70 item, but you're still getting experience, and you're getting more than, say, the level picking the level 10. So you get the item, and you get experience based on all the factors and whatever.
So that was like the longest answered your question, but I think it was helpful. So that's one of those questions.
You're welcome.
You can't answer that question. If you want more information on that, by the way, go to alttabme.com and check out some of the stuff that Bruce has written. What's your handle on the thing for everybody? It's Guyowin, right?
Guyowin, yes. Gyoin. If you call me anything else, I'll hate you forever. But you know what? If you get it right the first time, you'll be forever in my heart.
So basically, if you go to alttabme.com, you search Guyowin, you'll find all his posts about crafting and the more intricate details of cooking and all those things that are in Guild Wars 2.
And I'll be updating it too. So if you see something outdated, I'll get to it. Let me know, and I'll pretty much if anyone has any requests for stuff too, I do special requests for guild members.
Yes.
So.
And you can apply at any time to be in our guild, which I'll get to later. Next, okay, so this will be maybe we'll do like 1.5 questions because I see 2 questions that I kind of like. Microtransactions in Guild Wars 2.
The cash and gold system and gems, that one.
What is the what are microtransactions actually do for you? Is what he asked, or she asked, or it asked.
Anyone else, or should I take control again?
I kind of like it. In the beta weekends, they gave us free gems just to try it out. And if I remember correctly, there are like XP boosts or something, or am I remembering a different game?
Yes.
Yeah. So they do have things like that help you like go along quickly, but it's definitely not pay to win. I mean, you can't buy stuff out of there and kill everyone in sight. It's really just to improve your game experience, you personally.
It's very cosmetic too.
It's very cosmetic.
Yeah.
There was a box that me and John bought, and the whole purpose of this box was so that you could launch fireworks, you could turn into Asura, you could turn into giants, you could be invisible. It just did weird, stupid shit, and people could run up to it and play with it, and so like you'd have a crowd of people playing around this stupid box.
It's not.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
It wasn't limited to your party either. It was anyone can use it at any time too. That was a big thing. You didn't have to join someone's party just so you could use this cool novelty thing. If it was there, you could use it.
And then I think the best part about the best thing they added to it is dyes. I love dyes. I love to dye my clothing. I love to. It's like my desktop background, my phone background. It always changes every 10 minutes.
He's a pretty boy.
Yeah. So I think you. I don't think you know what you think. What is that fucking line from?
You're terrible.
I do
Just
not
stop.
think you think it. What do you think it means? What is that with the you killed my father, now prepared to die? You all know what I'm talking about now, don't you?
I think you just referenced 4 different movies in one sentence.
No, it was one. I just couldn't. Oh, fuck yourselves. Anyway, so no, I think it's cool because you can get dyes out in the real world, but let's say you're like me in OCD and really want to match at all times and have the coolest colors, you can go ahead and buy some colors if you want. And the only thing that bothered me a little bit is they made it so that they are character bound, not account bound. And I did read an interview where they said they're going to keep it that way. But what they did say is that if you get duplicates, you'll be able to put them in this thing called the Forge. And the Forge basically lets you change it into desired colors that you would want.
Oh, I did not know that feature. That's actually really handy.
Yeah, the Forge, you can put them in there. Another thing to mention is this store isn't the only way to get dyes. You can get them out of different chests. You can get them from drops from animals and stuff or whatever in the game. So you're not forced to stick with drab colors because you don't want to pay real money for gems or whatever. You don't want to use your gold to buy gems and then buy dye. You can find dye out in the game and whatnot, and you'll still have stuff. You'll just be able to buy it in bulk in different colors and faster off the store.
Everything on the thing other than the experience boosts and stuff like that you can get through the game.
Well, actually, the character slots, bank slots, and inventory slots.
Utility.
Those are 3 things that I'm looking at buying only because it's convenience. I like that convenience of having a couple extra bag slots on a character. If I know I'm going to be playing this character for the next 5 months, I'll put $10 on it so I have a couple extra bag slots. And you know what? I'm not paying a subscription, so you know what? $10 versus the 30. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But it's convenience. The main thing about their cash shop, it's convenience and cosmetic. There's no, just like someone else was saying, Brian up there was talking about pay to win. It's not pay to win. And I hope for the love of God they do not ever make it pay to win, because that will kill this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
If I can interrupt for a second,
Nope.
you were referencing Princess Bride.
Yes.
I'm ashamed it took me that long to remember
I know
it.
I was. I just can't.
Oh,
So I'm blaming you.
You know,
I've
it's
never-
it's that one line. I do not think it is what you think it means, or whatever the line is.
I do not think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah, it's. I
Yeah.
don't know why I can never say it. He always says it way better than I do. Whatever.
He says
Well,
everything.
he is the actor, you know.
Then.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna let you guys decide which one we answer. There's 2 questions here. One of them we already kind of answered. Is if I start playing the game, and I'm level 20, and no, if my friend starts playing the game, he's level 20, and then I'm level 80. Can I go back and play with them? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And if you want, we're going to be reposting this podcast up. If you tune into the first 20 minutes of it, I think we covered that.
it was early. Yeah, it was pretty early.
The other one is, I've heard good things about Guild Wars, but I've been at World of Warcraft so long that it would seem to be quite the knowledge jump just to switch over to a new game.
Ooh. Well, 7 years here for
Yeah.
WoW. I mean,
Yeah,
we all have.
everyone here has been
Yeah.
playing since the first couple
Yeah.
weeks of WoW.
Yeah.
I think I was the last one to it at 3 or 4 months in.
Yeah.
It's a change, but it's a good change, I guess, and it takes some getting used to. I mean, it's not I wouldn't call it a huge. You're not going to be completely overwhelmed. At least I don't think so. But it's definitely a change, and as long as you, like we said many times throughout this podcast, as long as you have an open mind and are willing to learn and adapt to different mechanics and a little bit different gameplay, you'll probably like it and you'll have fun. So.
Just don't try to play Guild Wars like you played WoW.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
the finishing point right there.
And we talked about that in serious depth too, so check it out. We definitely covered that. But it's just, to sum it up, it's a different game. It's like it's
Great
like any
game.
it's
Great
like
game.
any game
Amazing
that
game.
comes out. It's like you wouldn't. The funny thing is that because it's an MMO, you question it. If it was a single player game, you'd be like, "Oh, let me try out this new single player game," and you would just try it. And if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. But because it's an MMO and you feel like you're going to want to invest more time in it, it has that stigma attached to it. Now think of it like this: you don't have to pay a monthly subscription for this game. So it kind of falls into the same category as a single-player game in that regards. So you spend the money. If you hate it just like you would, say, a single-player game, then so be it. But at least you can get a lot more game time out of it if you like it.
You can put it down and come back 2 months later, and guess what? It's the same as if you put down another game. Other people will be farther than you, but guess what? You can still play it, and you won't have to pay any more money into it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming out and listening to us and watching us slowly disappear into the darkness. Right there.
Our dark bandits.
Wow, it's really creepy. So we are part of the website. The website is alttabme.com. Our guild name is Arcanix. It's an old name from back in our WoW days that we decided to bring back to life after we all kind of moved on to different ways, and we decided to come back playing Guild Wars 2.
Revive.
Yeah. We will be doing podcasts like this, hopefully, once a week. We will talk about all the different, things that we see during the beta weekends, as well as, when the game goes live. I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about, and we'll be streaming it live as well. And you can always go to alttabme.com/live to see all the live streams. We'll have multiple angles and multiple people streaming at the same time so that you can get you can watch the perspective of different players. So let's say we're running a dungeon and I'm playing a Mesmer and John over there is playing, a Guardian or an Engineer. You can you can watch us doing the same thing, but you can watch it from the different perspective of different types of classes and professions, and get a feel for what the game is really about. Am I missing anything, guys? Anything you guys want to say?
Well, I mean, if we said everything there is to say about the game, we would be here for quite a while, so gotta save something for next time.
What I will, you know what? What I will do is I will be opening up a forum topic where I post a video. If you have any more questions that you'd want us to cover in the next time that we do a podcast like this, feel free to leave them there, and we will make sure to add them to our next broadcast.
And probably a good thing to add to that, like we got the stress test coming up anytime there's a beta weekend. If people have an idea for something that, I mean, maybe we're not experts on yet, they could suggest, try this out.
Yeah,
And
if
come
there's
back
something you
and
want to
say what
see,
it's like.
yeah, if there's something you want to see, something you want us to try out or learn more about so we can discuss on the weekly podcast, just let us know. We're happy to go check that out for you and give you our feedback, et cetera, et cetera.
And I resent the fact that you said that I wasn't an expert, because I kind of am an expert. So
All right, you're
thank
the
you.
crap-
All right.
Hey, everybody in the
I was
stream
using
thinks
the
you're an
royal
expert.
we there.
Everybody in the stream thinks you're an expert.
I felt insulted, and I'm going to call you out on it. So
I apologize. Don't send the
Thank
pig after me.
So, all right. Well, once again, thanks for watching. And this is Tristan and Bruce and Brian and Jonathan, all from Arcanix at alttabme.com, bringing you Guild Wars updates and hopefully helping you to join the game. And if you would like, apply for our guild. We are accepting applications right now. All you have to do is go to alttabme.com and apply on our forums. We hope to see you in game, and we hope to see you on the live stream as well.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Peace out, Cub Scouts.